When consciousness returns each morning, there is a brief window where the world has not yet claimed you. No voices, no demands, no expectations. In that moment, the mind is unguarded, and because it is unguarded, it is either claimed by you or captured by habit. Most people lose this moment without noticing. They allow the mind to drift, to reach for comfort, to replay old fears, to anticipate struggle. By the time they rise, they are already reacting, already behind, already weakened. Control is lost not in great failures, but in these quiet beginnings. I learned long ago that whoever commands the first thought commands the day. The mind does not need inspiration at dawn, it needs direction. If the first thought is allowed to wander, it will always choose the familiar path of ease and avoidance. Comfort speaks first because it fears effort. Doubt follows because it fears judgment. Together they form a subtle chain that most never feel, yet spend their lives dragging. To seize the mind early is to break this chain before it tightens. This is not about force or aggression. It is about authority. The mind is a tool, not a ruler. It must be addressed as such. When you wake, you do not ask how you feel. Feeling is irrelevant. You decide, rise, focus, move. These are not emotional commands, they are statements of control. At first, the mind resists. It claims fatigue, distraction, uncertainty. Let it speak, but do not obey. Each time you act despite resistance, authority deepens. Each time you hesitate, the mind learns that it can delay you again. Many believe strength is tested only in conflict or hardship. They are wrong. Strength is tested first in silence. In that early stillness, there is no pressure, no audience, no urgency. That is why it matters. If you cannot command yourself when nothing opposes you, you will not command yourself when everything does. The mind trained in calm is steady in chaos. The mind surrendered in calm collapses under pressure. Fear is born when the mind is allowed to imagine before it is directed. In the early hours, fear has not yet found its shape. It has not built stories or rehearsed outcomes. This is why action must come before thought spirals outward. Movement anchors the mind in the present. Purpose dissolves imagined threat. By acting immediately, fear is denied the time it needs to grow teeth. Over time, this practice reshapes your inner landscape. The first thought changes. It becomes decisive, grounded, unafraid, not because fear has vanished, but because it is no longer in command. You begin to trust yourself not emotionally but structurally. You know that when resistance appears, you will move anyway. That knowledge becomes calm. That calm becomes control. The world is relentless in its attempt to claim your attention. Messages, noise, expectations, and conflict all arrive eager to dictate your pace and your priorities. If they reach you first, you spend the day defending your time and energy. If you reach yourself first, the world must adjust to you. This is the difference between those who are always reacting and those who move with intention. This control is quiet, no one applauds it. There is no recognition for the unseen victory of beginning the day correctly, but its effects are undeniable. Decisions become sharper, focus lasts longer, pressure feels lighter. You do not rush because you are already ahead, you do not panic because you are already grounded. The mind, once a source of struggle, becomes a weapon of precision. Do not misunderstand this as routine for routine's sake. Ritual without awareness is just another form of sleep. What matters is presence. Each morning you consciously take command, you remind the mind who leads, you reinforce the structure that keeps you steady when circumstances shift. This repetition builds something stronger than motivation, inevitability. Action becomes automatic. Discipline becomes identity. Those who lack this practice live at the mercy of their mornings. They wake already tired, already anxious, already distracted. They wonder why life feels heavy, why progress feels slow, why fear follows them into every challenge. The answer is simple. They never claimed the moment when everything was still within their grasp. The mind must be met before it wanders, commanded before it negotiates, directed before it doubts. This is not philosophy, it is survival. Mastery is not found in rare moments of greatness, but in the quiet, consistent choice to lead yourself before the world attempts to do it for you. Claim the mind first, and nothing that follows can truly shake you. Many believe that strength is born in the body, that discipline is measured by sweat, pain, and visible effort. They train the hands, the legs, the breath, but they leave the mind unguarded. When pressure arrives, they are surprised that the body hesitates, that technique collapses, that endurance fails. They do not understand that the body never leads. It follows. It obeys whatever voice has authority within. If that voice is uncertain, emotional, or distracted, the body will reflect it without mercy. The mind must be trained first because it is the commander of all action. Without command, effort is wasted. You may push yourself once or twice through willpower, but willpower is unstable. It rises and falls with mood, with circumstance, with comfort. Discipline is different. Discipline is the mind deciding once and enforcing that decision every time, regardless of feeling. When the mind is disciplined, the body no longer debates. It moves because movement has been ordered. Most weakness is not physical, it is hesitation disguised as reason. Not today, I will start tomorrow. I need more preparation. These thoughts feel intelligent, but they are avoidance wearing a mask. The untrained mind protects comfort above progress. It seeks certainty before action, yet certainty only comes after action. This contradiction traps many in endless preparation and no execution. The disciplined mind cuts through this immediately. It understands that clarity is created by movement, not waiting. Training the mind begins with observing it without obedience. Thoughts will arise, doubt will appear, fatigue will speak early and loudly. None of this is failure. Failure occurs only when these voices are obeyed automatically. You must learn to hear them without reacting. This creates distance. In that distance, choice is born, and where there is choice, there is power. When the mind is trained, emotion no longer dictates behavior. Emotion still exists, but it no longer leads. Pain may arise, but it does not command retreat. Fear may appear, but it does not paralyze. The disciplined mind treats emotion as weather, not direction. Clouds may gather, storms may pass, but the path remains unchanged. The body continues because the mind has already decided where it is going. This training is not achieved through comfort. It is achieved through repetition under resistance. Each time you act while the mind protests, you strengthen authority. Each time you remain focused while distraction pulls, you sharpen control. The mind learns patterns just as the body does. If you consistently surrender to hesitation, hesitation becomes instinct. If you consistently act despite it, decisiveness becomes instinct. Many fail because they try to motivate the mind instead of disciplining it. Motivation is unreliable. It depends on emotion, on mood, on external influence. Discipline is internal. It does not ask how you feel, it asks what must be done. This is why those who rely on motivation are inconsistent, while those who rely on discipline are inevitable. They move forward even on days when motivation is absent, and because of that, progress never stops. When the mind is disciplined, the body becomes efficient. Energy is no longer wasted on internal argument. You do not spend strength convincing yourself to act. Action happens immediately. This efficiency compounds. Endurance increases because resistance decreases. Pain is managed because panic is absent. Focus sharpens because attention is not scattered. The body becomes stronger not because it is pushed harder, but because it is directed better. Under pressure, the difference becomes clear. The untrained mind floods the body with panic. Movements become rushed or frozen. Decisions collapse. The disciplined mind remains clear. It slows perception. It sees options. It chooses deliberately. The body mirrors this clarity. Even when exhausted, even when wounded, it responds with precision because confusion has been removed. Training the mind also refines timing. You learn when to advance and when to wait. You do not rush from emotion or retreat from fear. You act when action is required and hold when restraint is wiser. This judgment cannot be learned through physical effort alone. It is the result of mental stillness cultivated through discipline. The body executes what the mind has already measured. Many believe that mental strength is something you either have or do not have. This is false. Mental strength is trained just like muscle. It grows through deliberate exposure to discomfort, through repeated refusal to surrender control. Each small victory over impulse reinforces the structure. Over time, the mind becomes reliable. You trust it under pressure because it has been tested daily. This discipline extends beyond training or conflict. It governs how you speak, how you listen, how you respond to insult or praise. You do not react impulsively. You choose responses with intent. This restraint is not weakness, it is control. Those who cannot control themselves are easily controlled by others. Those who master the mind remain free regardless of circumstance. When the mind leads, fear diminishes, not because danger disappears, but because your response is no longer uncertain. You know you will act, you know you will endure, you know you will adapt. That certainty is calm, that calm is power. The body senses this and follows without resistance. Do not confuse this with suppression. The mind is not silenced by force. It is trained through consistency. You do not fight every thought, you simply refuse to obey the ones that weaken you. Over time, they lose volume. The useful thoughts grow clearer. The mind becomes an ally rather than an obstacle. Those who train the body first often reach a limit they cannot cross. Those who train the mind first discover that limits move. Pain becomes information. Fatigue becomes a signal to adjust, not stop. Obstacles become problems to solve, not reasons to quit. Strength becomes adaptable rather than brittle. If you want control under pressure, train the mind until the body obeys without question. There is one truth that separates those who grow powerful from those who remain weak, and it is not talent, not luck, not even effort. It is responsibility. Absolute total responsibility. Most people fear this word because they misunderstand it. They think responsibility is blame, weight, or punishment. In reality, responsibility is freedom. The moment you accept that everything in your life is yours to own, you reclaim control that you unknowingly surrendered long ago. Weak people search for causes outside themselves. They look at circumstances, other people, fate, timing, and fairness. They explain endlessly why things happen to them. They tell convincing stories, they sound intelligent, reasonable, even justified, but while they are explaining, life moves on without them. Explanation does not build strength, ownership does. When you refuse responsibility, you give your power away. You hand it to chance, to others, to the world. You become reactive instead of deliberate. Every setback feels personal, every obstacle feels unfair, every failure feels crushing. But when you accept full responsibility, something changes immediately. The mind sharpens, complaints disappear. The only question that remains is, what must be done now? Responsibility forces clarity. You can no longer hide behind emotion or excuses. If you fail, you look directly at your actions, your preparation, your decisions. This is uncomfortable, and that is why most avoid it. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Responsibility removes comfort and replaces it with truth, and truth, though sharp, is the only thing that can shape strength. Fear loses its grip when responsibility is embraced. Fear thrives on uncertainty and helplessness. It grows when you believe outcomes are beyond your control. But when you accept responsibility, fear is reduced to a manageable signal. It no longer asks, "What if I lose?" It asks, "How will I respond if I do?" That shift changes everything. Action becomes possible. Movement replaces paralysis. Those who avoid responsibility live in constant emotional turbulence. They are offended easily, discouraged quickly, and broken by pressure. Why? Because their sense of stability depends on external factors behaving as they expect. When reality refuses to cooperate, they collapse. Those who accept responsibility remain steady because their foundation is internal. They do not depend on fairness, approval, or ease. They depend on their own response. Responsibility also strips away distraction. When you stop blaming others, you stop watching them. When you stop complaining about circumstances, you stop waiting for them to change. Your attention turns inward, where real work can be done. Energy that was wasted on frustration is redirected toward improvement. This is how progress accelerates quietly while others remain stuck. There is no partial responsibility. Taking responsibility only when things go well is not strength, it is vanity. True ownership means claiming failure with the same calm you claim success. It means saying, without anger or self-pity, "This is mine to correct." That mindset hardens the mind. It builds resilience that cannot be taken away because it does not depend on outcome. Many believe responsibility makes life heavier. In truth, it makes life simpler. There are fewer questions, fewer emotional swings, fewer internal arguments. You act, you observe the result, you adjust. This cycle is clean, efficient, and powerful. Complexity belongs to those who argue with reality. Simplicity belongs to those who accept it and move. When pressure comes, and it always does, responsibility becomes your armor. You do not panic because you are not searching for someone to blame. You do not freeze because you are not waiting for permission. You assess, you adapt, you proceed. The situation may be difficult, but your mind remains clear because it has accepted its role. This discipline must be practiced daily, not declared once. Each time you catch yourself blaming, complaining, or explaining, you are given a choice. You can return to weakness or you can reclaim ownership. The strong choose ownership again and again until it becomes instinct. Eventually, the mind no longer looks outward for causes, it looks inward for solutions. Responsibility also teaches humility. You stop pretending to be perfect. You stop defending mistakes. You see errors as part of refinement, not as threats to identity. This humility strengthens you because it keeps you adaptable. Pride makes people rigid. Responsibility keeps you flexible and alert. Those who refuse responsibility remain dependent. They need encouragement, reassurance, permission, and validation. Those who accept responsibility become self-directed. They do not wait to feel ready. They do not wait to be understood. They move because movement is required. This independence is true strength. Life will test you repeatedly. You will be misunderstood. You will lose opportunities. You will face setbacks that feel undeserved. None of this changes the rule. The only thing that matters is what you do next. Responsibility places that choice firmly in your hands where it belongs. Understand this deeply. No one can control a person who accepts full responsibility. They cannot be manipulated by fear, guilt, or circumstance. They cannot be broken by loss because loss becomes instruction. They cannot be delayed by doubt because action is already chosen. If you want absolute mental control, you must stop arguing with reality and start owning your place within it. Stand firm, take responsibility for everything, and you will discover a strength that cannot be shaken.